Today we're going to create the train engine, and we're going to create it on the front plane, or sorry, the side plane actually, because we're going to create it basically facing in this direction. And so we're going to go ahead and open up a new standard IPT in Inventor, and I'm going to choose from my origin planes, and I'm going to choose the YZ plane to create my sketch. Now it's going to turn your thing sideways, so I'm just going to turn this right side up so we're looking at the right side, and I'm also going to move this over a little bit. I'm going to draw off to the side here. I'm not going to draw near the origin. I'm going to grab my line tool and I'm going to create my first line, which is going to be this line right here, and that's going to be 5.5 inches. And so I'm going to create my line, and I'm just going to make sure that it's parallel to the ground, and I'm just going to type 5.5 and hit enter. Now I've got my first line. Now I'm going to go up, and we go up at least 1.75 from the base to the center of this circle, and we go a little bit beyond to make this rounded top. Now I'm going to make this a little bit larger than it needs to be. 1.75 to here, I'm just going to go ahead and make this thing 4 inches tall because we're going to cut off the roof later on. So come up here, make sure that your line is perpendicular to the ground, and I'm just going to put 4. And then I'm going to come across to make the top part, and it comes across here 1 inch. See, from the base here to this point right here is 1 inch. So I'm going to make sure that my line is parallel, and I'm going to hit 1. And I'm going to come down. And how far do I want to come down? I want to come down from 4. This right here is 0.88 inches tall. From here to here is 0.88 inches tall. So I'm going to do 4 minus 0.88, and that's going to give me my destination. So I'm going to go ahead and go 4 minus 0.88. There we have it. And then I'm going to come up here to the front. We don't have to measure this one. I just need to make sure that I lock on, that it's parallel, and I'm locking onto this point right here, and then I'm going to close it off. Alright. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create the wheel holes. And so I'm going to create 2 circles. Grab my circle tool. I'm going to make a circle here, and I'm going to make a circle here. And I'm going to dimension these circles. Both of them are going to be 0.25 because it says 1/4-20 UNC. What this means is that it's threaded with this specification, 1/4-20 UNC, and so I'm going to make this 1/4 of an inch, 0.25. So 0.25, and the other one I'm also going to make 0.25. Now I'm going to dimension how high up these go. They go up, if we look at this dimension right here, 0.5 inches from the base, and this dot right here is 1 inch from the back side. So I'm going to make this hole right here 0.5 up and 1 inch from the base, from the back. So dimension from here to here is going to be 0.5 and 1 inch from the back. Okay, this is also going to be 0.5 up. I'm going to make that 0.5, and it's going to be a distance from here to here. That distance has been specified from the base, or from the back of the train to this hole as 4.5, so I'm going to make that 4.5. 4.5. There we go. The last thing we are going to do is add that little circle here on the back side. Let's see. You know what? I made a little mistake. This line right here is actually 1.75. So I'm going to go back and change that to 1.75. Thought it looked a little funny. There we go, 1.75. So the last thing we got to do is add this little hole right here, and the hole from the center to the edge is 0.25 away, and the radius of the circle is 0.5. That means that the total diameter of the circle would be 1. So I'm going to make this 1 inch circle, and I'm going to make the center 0.25 from the back. So I'm going to grab my circle tool, and I'm just going to draw a circle. Don't lock onto anything, make sure that you're just free. And I'm going to make this 1 inch. And I'm also going to dimension and make this 0.25 from the back. The last thing we got to do is make it the right distance from the bottom, and we've got 1.75 from the bottom. So I'm going to make that 1.75 from the bottom. Alright. Now I'm going to trim off unnecessary lines. So I'm going to trim this guy right here, and I'm going to trim this guy right here. And so now we've got our basic train so far. I'm going to hit Finish Sketch, and I'm going to go to my isometric view, and I'm going to extrude this. And I'm going to extrude it in both directions just so that I have something going right down the middle, or so that I can mirror things to one side or the other. So I chose symmetric. And this thing is 2 inches wide. From here to here is 2 inches, so I'm going to create 2 inches for my extrusion. Great. Now let's take care of this roof because it looks a little weird the way that it is now. So I'm going to go to the back side, and I'm going to make a sketch on the back side here. And I'm going to cut off the top part here. Now in order to cut off this roof, I need to look at this other picture right here. This says that the radius of this arch right here is 2.35. And also, if I follow the line down, it's showing me that the center point of this arch is right here. So I'm going to make a center point right here for my circle. And the circle is going to be 0.235 times 2 to make the diameter. So 0.235 times 2. I'm going to make a circle, and I'm going to put 0.235 times 2. Whoa. 2.35 times 2, sorry. 2.35 times 2. There we go. And I'm also going to dimension from this to the base, and that distance is 0.375. 375. Right? So we actually have quite a bit of excess up here, and that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and finish my sketch and go to extrude, and I'm going to extrude the circle and the square here. So I clicked on the circle and the square, and I want to choose this kind of extrusion, which is called intersect. And intersect automatically shows the opposite direction for me to go. So what intersect will do is it'll basically keep everything inside this cylinder and cut away everything remaining. Now my train, how long is it? It is 5.5 inches long. So I'm going to go back to Inventor, and I'm going to make this intersect 5.5 inches long. That's going to keep the entire train intact. I can also say just all, and it'll do the same thing. So I can either put in the number or I can choose all. I'm going to click OK. Now my train's starting to look more like a train engine. The next thing I'm going to do is make the little hole back here, since I'm already back here. This hole right here is 0.25 inches diameter. This is the diameter symbol. And this symbol right here, which has a little arrow pointing down, means that it goes 0.5 in. So it's a 0.25 diameter, and it cuts into this thing 0.25. We also have the dimensions for how high up it is and how far away from one of the walls it is. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my train here. I'm going to make a sketch on the back side. I'm going to make a point. I'm going to make a hole here. So I'm going to create a point. I'm just going to place it anywhere. Dimension this to the wall is going to be 1. And this to the base is going to be 0.375. Alright, so now I've got a point that I can create a hole on. So I'm going to finish the sketch, go to my hole, and it already made a hole for me. It already made it 0.25. That's the default that was on. So make sure that yours is 0.25, but we also want to make sure that we're going to a depth of 0.5. So I'm going to make my depth here. It says through all. I'm going to choose distance for termination instead, and I'm going to choose 0.2 or 0.5. So now this hole is going in the right place. Click OK. Oh, one other thing. I did not turn off the pointed drill bit, so I've got a little pointed drill here. I want to go back to my hole, double click hole 1. I'm going to choose the drill point as flat head so that it's flat. If you choose a pointed or an angled drill bit hole, when you try and insert things into this thing, it probably won't work. And so you want to make sure that your drill point is flat so that when you go to constrain things and insert things into this hole, that it will be able to go in just fine. So I'm going to click OK. And while I am here, I might as well just thread these guys. So I'm going to go to my thread, and I need to choose my specification. Actually, I'm going to choose the face first. My face is going to be this guy and this guy. Oop, need to click face again, I guess. Yeah, there we go. Guess I have to do these individually. Alright, the specification of this is 1/4-20 UNC. 1/4-20 UNC, 0.25. Sweet. Everything's already in there. Hit apply. Now I'm going to choose one more. To this guy. Same specification. Apply. Now I've got these both threaded. Alright, now we have our threaded holes. Great. Now we're on to the front. So I'm going to make a sketch on the front here. And I'm going to create the little circular shape here. And this circle shows me that the radius is 0.75, so that means that that's half the diameter. So I'm going to double it. And it also shows me that the center of this circle is 1.38 from the base. 1.38. If I follow this line over with my eye. So I'm going to make a circle that's 1.38 tall and 0.75 times 2 for the diameter. 1.38 tall. So I'm going to make a circle, and it's going to be 0.75 times 2. And it's 1.38 tall. 1.38. And I'm also going to make sure that this thing is in the middle, even though I think I locked on. But I'm just going to make sure. This thing is 2 inches across. I can double check right here. See, that's 2. I'm just going to leave that there. It's 2 inches across, 1 inch to the middle. It's 1.38 inches tall, just like it says here. And it's 0.75 times 2, which is 1.5. Our circle is complete. I'm going to go to Finish Sketch. Now, the distance right here of this line, we can figure out by looking in our drawing. I can also hit Inspect up here at the top and go to Distance. I'm going to click this line. It tells me it's 3.75 inches long. That's how long I have to make my extrusion. So I'm going to go to Model, go to Extrude, 3.75 inches long. My profile is going to be this circle, and I want it to go the other direction. And I want it to create, not cut, material. Alright, very good. Click OK. And our engine is looking mighty fine so far. What we'll do is add this smokestack hole. Okay, the smokestack hole is on top. It is 0.88 inches from the front to the center of the hole, and it tells me that the diameter of the hole is 0.5 and that it goes down 0.25. Okay, so I want to create a point here so I can make a hole. Or I can make it with a circle, but I'm just going to make it with a hole by making the point. But I need a plane up here to draw a point on this hole. I can't draw a plane on a cylindrical object or a three-dimensional object. I have to have a flat surface. So I need to create a new plane. So I'm going to go to my planes, and I'm going to choose this one right here that says tangent to surface and parallel to plane. Now I'm going to make it parallel to this plane because I want it to be on top. So I'm going to make a parallel here, and I'm going to make a tangent to this cylinder. So you can already see that the plane is showing up before I've even clicked. So I've clicked on this face, and I'm going to click on the cylinder here. So now I've got a new plane. I'm going to make a sketch on this plane. And I'm going to bring my train up here so I can see it. Now I want to make this point that's 0.88 inches from the center here, or from the front of the cylinder. So what I need to do is project geometry. So I'm going to project the geometry of this circle, or this line I should say. And I'm just going to go ahead and click these two lines also, just so that I have that whole line. Now if I go from here to here, I've got a 2-inch line. Very good. That's great, because I'm going to use this as a reference so that I have this thing right in the middle. I'm going to grab my point, and I'm going to click somewhere, and I'm going to dimension this from the point to the line, and from the point to the line, if you remember, is 0.88 inches. So I'm going to go back here and make this 0.88. Looking at this from the top, you remember. I'm also going to make sure that this point is in the middle. It's 2 inches across, so I'm going to make this 1 inch from here. 1 inch. Go to finish sketch. I've got my point right where I need it to be. It is 0.88 inches from the front of the train, and it's also 1 inch from the side, so it's right in the middle. I'm going to go to my hole, and it automatically chose this as the hole, if you notice. Now we want to change a few things. First of all, the diameter is wrong, and the termination goes through all. I want to change this to distance so I can tell it how long I want it to go. And I'm just going to go ahead and choose a flat drill point right away. Okay, so my hole is going to be 0.5 in diameter and 0.25 deep. So the diameter is here, 0.5 and 0.25 deep. Good. Click OK, and we're all set. Now, I'm going to fill up this thing, but first I want to turn the visibility off of this plane. I can either right-click the plane and turn the visibility off, or I can go over to where the plane is here, right-click, and turn the visibility off right here as well. Now that we have all the holes and the basic shape, we actually need 3 holes up here for our cow catcher. So let's go ahead and create those. I'm going to make a sketch on this face right here, and I'm going to look at my drawing. My drawing of the front has my holes right here. Now, one of the holes is being pointed at with this guy. The diameter is 0.125 and it goes 0.125 deep, so that's pretty easy to remember. 0.125 and 0.125 deep. Now I need 3 points to make my holes, so I'm going to go ahead and make those right now. And I'm going to try not to lock onto anything. Just going to make them free. Yeah. Oh, let me look at this one more time. Okay, so the 2 are the bottom and the one's at the top. So I'm going to click here, and here, and here. And I'm going to dimension. Now, the dimension from the center of this hole to the edge is this distance right here, which is 0.375, which stands to reason that this is going to be 0.375 as well. And we also have 0.125 right here as the height. So it's 0.375 and 0.125. So this is going to be 0.375 from here. This is going to be 0.375 from here. It's going to be 0.125 tall. And this one as well. Okay, these are in the right place. Now let's look at the third one. The third one is 0.625 because I'm looking at these 2 arrows which are telling me the distance between this line right here and the base. 0.625, and this thing is right in the middle, so it's 1 inch in the middle. 0.625 and 1. Mention this guy. To here is 1. And from here to the base, 0.625. It's important that you make these in the right place, as well as the cow catcher correctly, because these need to fit in perfectly. So I'm going to hit finish sketch, and I'm going to grab my hole tool, and 3 holes have been already created for me. I'm going to choose distance, and let me remind myself what these are. 0.125 diameter, 0.125 deep. Easy enough. My drill bit is already flat. The depth is 0.125. and the diameter is 0.125. Now we got our 3 holes. The last step on this guy is to round all the edges. It says on this picture right here, round all edges, radius 0.1, except for drilled holes. This would be a hole, 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 and this would be a hole, as well as the front. So don't do any of the holes. 0.1 for our radius. I'm going to go to fillet, change this to 0.1 as my radius. Oops. And I'm going to do all the edges. Now, one other thing, you don't have to do the baselines, so don't do the baselines. These lines right here. All I want to do is the regular lines. I think I've got everything on this side. I'm going to flip this around so I can see the back side. And I think we've got it. Looks pretty good. Apply. And I've got this rounded edges. Alright, so the engine is now complete. I can go ahead and change this to material. You can choose different color schemes if you want. You can also change the individual pieces to different colors. I'm just going to make mine wood so you can see what this looks like. Wood oak looks good. And I've got my train, or a toy train here, and it's ready to go.